employee processes, entering expense trips and advances in Core Portal. Introduction. In this lesson, we will look at how to enter expense trips in Core Portal. We'll look at the three types of expense types when doing so: mileage, non-scalable or receipted, and scalable. Additionally, we'll look at how to enter advances in Core Portal. Entering expense trips. Common data required. Go to the My Expense Reports section, click on New, enter the relevant dates from and to date, enter the description. So for example, meeting in Dublin. Click on the relevant cost centre, so we get a list of cost centres here. We'll select cost centre 1. Select your approver from the list. Select Robert Clark. And the location, which is one of our analysis codes. We can click on the list here and we can select domestic travel for this one and press save. The first type of expense code that we'll enter is mileage. So click on New Expense Item, select the expense type kilometres, type in the number of units, so for example 200 kilometres. The dates are automatically populated from the information we have previously entered. If time is required, you can enter it here. You can populate the location, so for example Cork to Dublin, and enter in the description for the trip, so meeting in Dublin. Press on Options. At this stage we may look at the mileage calculator. Here we can look at the route planner. We can enter in our locations and verify the amount of kilometres between the two locations. Then we can press on Options and save. And then we can submit it to our approver for approval. Here you accept the declaration. This can be configured. And also you can input terms and conditions at this stage, which you can click on. Okay. Here you need to accept the declaration. The declaration can be configured. Additionally, we can attach a terms and conditions document, which can be read at this stage. Press yes. And the mileage claim has been submitted to our approver for approval. We will now enter a non-scalable expense type. We click on New, put in our dates. So for example, the 1st of July again to the 3rd. Click on meeting in Dublin. Again, our cost centre and approvers and location has defaulted from our last expense trip. We can press save. We can press New Expense Item, and we'll type in Business Entertainment. Because Business Entertainment has been selected as a receipted item, we now have to choose whether we want to submit paper receipt separately, upload a receipt, or if there is no receipt available. We will select to upload a receipt. We'll populate a description, so Business Entertainment, and select the receipt to upload. Press save. At this stage we can put in our value, so €50. Our location is Dublin, and Business Entertainment. Press Options and save and add new. So we'll input our value of €50, put our dates, the time, it's from 2 o'clock until 4, our location, and meeting refreshments. Press Options and Save and Add New. By pressing Save and Add New, our data will automatically be populated with the data in the last expense item. Again, we can select another expense item. So, for example, the train. When you select No Receipt Available, it's mandatory to provide a reason for your missing receipt. So, and press Save. Okay, so we got the train for €5, Euston to St. Stephen's Green. So we'll just say that we got the Luas. Press Options and Save. And at this stage, we can submit our expenses for approval. We will now look at entering scalable expense strips. For this, there are two options. You can generate subsistence or manually update subsistence. We'll click on New. We'll enter our dates. So, for example, the 1st of July until the 3rd of July. We'll put in our description. So, meeting in Dublin. Our approver and analysis code have defaulted from the last time we entered an expense strip. We can press Save and then click on New Expense Item. This time we will look at manually entering subsistence. So we can type in overnight. So for the period between the 1st and 3rd of July, we will be entitled to 2 overnights. We can type in our location, Cork to Dublin, and we'll say we were there for a meeting. At this stage, we can select the overnight type. In this environment, we have configured a normal overnight type, a conference overnight type, a detention, and a reduced overnight type. Here we'll select the normal overnight type. Click on Options and Save and Add New. For the period between the 1st and 3rd of July, we are also entitled to a 5-hour rate. Click on 5-hour, click on 1, we can enter our description, meeting, and we'll put in our times. So from 9 o'clock until 5. Press on Options and Save. You can see here that the red box has come up. That identifies that there is an issue with what I have tried to enter. If you hover over the red box, you'll see for the dates I have provided, I've already claimed a subsistence expense and I need to review my dates. It's an oversight on my part and I need to change the date to the 3rd. So the 5-hour rate occurs on the 3rd of July. I can click on Options and Save. At this stage, I have an option to press Save. If I press Save, this expense strip will save as a new expense strip in my core portal. If I press Submit, this expense strip will be submitted to my approver for approval. For this expense strip, I will press Save, as I'm not sure if I need to add in new expense items later or not. And then I can X out of it. You'll see that the pie chart has changed. I now have a new item a submitted item and a paid item. We'll click on the new button. We'll update the dates. So this time we'll go from the 7th to the 11th. And this time we'll generate subsistence. So meeting in Galway with a cost centre or approver and domestic travel. And press save. Click on new expense item. Put in our location, Cork to Galway, if conference, /meeting. Put in our times, 9 until 5. Press on our options and generate subsistence. So I'm expecting 4 overnights and 1 5-hour. These has been automatically generated. For example, if we want to reduce the number of overnights, click on the widget and view update. And at this stage we can reduce this to 3. Overnight type we can change at this stage. You can change to conference or keep it normal. Press on options and save. And we can submit to my approver for approval. It's also possible to enter foreign expense strips. So click on New, click on our dates. So for example, the 14th to the 16th. You can say trip to France. We can say trip to USA. We can change our analysis code to be outside EU foreign travel. We can press save. Click on new expense item. Identify that this expense item is a foreign item. Click on the expense type. We'll type in flights. Click on the expense type and we'll type in business entertainment. We'll say we'll submit a paper receipt separately and press save. We'll type in the value. So for example, I have a receipt for $200. Let's say we're going to Boston. Say it's a conference. Refreshments. And we can press options and save. You can see here again we've got the red box. This is because time is required for business entertainment, so we need to input our times. So again we'll put in 1 o'clock until 3. Again, this is configurable and may be changed. You'll see here also that the USD rate that is in the system at the moment is 1.3719. Press options and save, and you see that that is translated into 145.78 euros. And we can submit for approval. Again, we have the acceptance declaration. We can press yes, and the expense report was submitted successfully. We can also enter advances. To enter in advance, click on the new button. Click on the advance type, which is advance payment. Click on the reason. Trip to China, for example. We'll have the advance date, so the date of the advance is today. The repay date is, we input the date of the end of the trip. Say Friday. Put in the value, 200 euros, and select the approver from the list. Again, we'll select Robert Clark. You can save for later if you're unsure of the advance amount, or submit your approver for approval. In the Manage My Expenses section, you can look at all expense reports and you can identify the status of each expense report. So the last expense to the states that we submitted has a status of submitted. We can see the meeting in Dublin which we saved has a status of new. And we can also see that this previous trip that was entered has been paid. This is a good way of tracking your expenses. In the Manage My Expenses section, you can look at all expense reports and you can identify the status of each expense report. So the last expense to the states that we submitted has a status of submitted. We can see the meeting in Dublin which we saved has a status of new. And we can also see that this previous trip that was entered has been paid. This is a good way of tracking your expenses. To recap, we've looked at how to enter expense trips in Core Portal. We entered some mileage trips, some non-scalable receipted trips, and scalable subsistence trips, both generated and manual. Additionally, we entered some advances in Core Portal and looked at how to identify the status of your expense trips in Core Portal.